Hello and welcome back to the channel. We're racing in iRacing with the Formula V. We're at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Right now we're going to be doing our qualifying. This is just our in-lap. But let's get to the nitty-gritty, our actual qualifying lap. Came to see some racing. Let's do some racing. iRacing goes on a qualifying, 2-lap qualifying, and then it puts you right into the race. So you got 2 chances to get a good lap. If you don't get a good lap, you're starting at the back, or you may get lucky and start in the midfield. We're tired of dealing with that so we're going for a good lap here. Done a lot of practice on this track, and I've worked out what I thought was the best sustainable lap. Not exactly an extreme push, but not also going slow. Something that I can sustain at race pace. And that's really what I like qualifying on, is something that I can sustain at race pace. So a lot of this race, the actual laps themselves, not a lot of rocketing through the corners and full throttle, or even close to full throttle through the corners. These cars react really well to being off power and a little bit of brakes through the turns to just kind of help it rotate a little bit. And that's really what I found worked the best going through these corners. Brake, not super hard, but just a little bit of braking just to bring that speed down. Get the car rotating, get off the gas, really figure out where you can get back on the gas and launch it out. So here we go, our first time lap. And it is a 127.4. My second lap wasn't any improvement, so here we're starting second. And we're away. Missed a shift somehow. I don't really understand how. This car is very weird to shift. It takes a while. I have an H-pattern shifter and the paddles, and even with the paddles, it's still very laggy and you miss shifts a lot. But here we go, into the race. So it's quite clear that me and the guy in first are very similar on race pace. We dropped third place fairly quickly, and we're taking extremely similar lines too. So I knew this guy ahead was good. He runs a little bit wide and just doesn't want to come back on the track there. And coming into these turns here.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
And what's best to follow up another moment with this. I don't know. I don't know how. I don't know why that happened. But for whatever reason, in my head, my heart was pounding. I spun, and the first thought that I had was, I need to get back into race pace. Ruin this dude's race, so I'm going to let him very easily go through. I'm not even going to try and fight that. That was completely on me. It was a dumb moment on my part, and I do feel semi-bad if I ruined anybody's lap, but thus is racing. And here we have the leader go off. So we somehow managed to pass them, just kind of by luck, kind of placing the car in a good spot. And now we're in the fourth. So that's pretty cool. Not the best lap one in the world, but I will take it. And now the battle begins for third place. Really had to keep my head down to try and make up this gap. Here we see it's 3.1 seconds. Not the furthest gap I've ever had to the guy ahead. Learning iRacing is, you sometimes find yourself a lap or two down and you're just kind of out there driving and you don't really see anybody for a while, especially in the Miata Cup. Those cars love to spin, and it's a very complicated thing to get used to, at least that I have found. But we're going to try and do the best that we can to get good, clean, consistent laps and really just chill away at this 3-second gap. Making sure not to cut a lot of the curbs. That curb will send you into the shadow realm if you are not careful on it. Getting rid of the tearaway there. iRacing is really cool in the fact that as you battle with other racers and even with the open wheel race cars, you do get grime, dirt, oil, rubber, whatever it may be on your visor, and it actually does impede your sight, which is cool. It's weird that they thought about that and actually included that in a racing game. But in one lap, we got our gap down to the driver ahead, 1.8 seconds. We're staying consistent here. We're putting in good lap times, keeping on our line, and we're really just gaining on the guy ahead here. So now we're really just trying to remember our qualifying lap and where the car was, and knowing that if I can get on that pace, I should end up in first here in a few laps. So that's exactly what we're doing. We're just letting the car rotate a lot, giving a little bit of the brakes, modulating that throttle, making sure not to cut this curve, because that curve does not like anybody. I've seen that curve ruin so many people's races that I just want to avoid it. So I am at the point now where I'm actually starting to be able to tell where these guys are putting the car, and I'm starting to notice that it's very inconsistent. This is something that I've just kind of picked up from racing for a while. As you follow the lead car or the car ahead, if you're not anywhere near the lead, or, you really can learn a lot about the driver's skill level, where he places the car, where he's braking, how he goes through turns. If he runs the turn super wide and artificially uses the entire track, then you can tell that he's not exactly comfortable. You can also tell if he's not comfortable by little oversteer moments, like what we just saw there. But you can kind of tell where and when you should pass the driver ahead, just by simply watching and kind of putting pressure on. As you can see, a little bit of pressure there made him run wide, carrying too much speed through, not getting the car to turn in time. And he has the same kind of issue here, which allows me to get a really good exit and really just catch up quicker than I normally would. As you can see, I cut a little bit too much of that corner, and it unsettled the car terribly. So now we're right on this guy's tail. We've been watching him. We learned how he positions the car, where he places everything, how he brakes, and now we're ready to make our overtake. As you can see in my rear view, the guy that was in first or qualified ahead of me has caught up. So now I know I need to get out of this position before it's too late. And this car coming out of the pits means that the car ahead isn't going to go defensive, so I'm going to take the inside, brake late, make my move, and get by. And as we can see, the driver who qualified ahead of me gets caught up in the mix and isn't able to make the pass. So I gained myself a little bit of breathing room there, as I'm now able to chase the guy first. iRacing is a little bit slow with their timing clock updates. It updates every lap, so I don't actually know how far ahead first is, but I'm going to keep the same mentality, keep my head down, try and stay consistent, try and not make any errors. If I can, make them be small and be able to react to them in time, and just really try and chew away this gap. We can see that the guy in front is not super far away, but we're still going to keep that mentality. Again, coming through the corners, letting the car rotate. Our spotter doing God's work, telling me that the car ahead is the leader. So we're still really just working that accelerator, working the brake, try and get the car to rotate best that we can without losing any grip. Knowing that as soon as I cross that next finish line, the time clock will update, and I'll finally have a gap between me and the guy ahead that I can just try and work down lap per lap. So here we go. Our lap time is just updated. We get told we're back in second, which is good news. And the gap is 1.8. So it's not terrible. It's actually pretty good. Way better than the gap third that we were just in. So I know it's achievable. I don't really know how many laps were left at this point in the race. So it was kind of a nervous moment, wondering if I could get it done, wondering if I could get the lap down and actually make the overtake, or if I was just going to get close, or if I was just going to stay in this position the entire time. I've been able to watch him, the car ahead, and but it wasn't anything close. So I didn't really know how good this guy was. But now that I'm starting to chew away this gap, I'm actually starting to be able to see where he's placing the car. And as I chew too much of that curve off, so we're just starting to really catch up now. Here we see him take a very interesting line through this turn. Puts me pretty much on his tail coat through the chicane, and now we're on the main straight. So he's going to go a little bit defensive here, which means he's going to not really get too close to the apex. So I did get a better exit on turn 1, meaning we got a good run into turn 2. We did take a cautionary turn through turn 2. Not really sure how this guy was running it, so we are still just kind of learning here. Put a little bit of pressure on him as he leaves the track and then very violently rejoins. Gets a good exit there. I could tell here that I was really starting to put pressure on him. He brakes randomly through that turn and takes a very wide turn to there. Here I try and do a switcheroo with him, and it just does not work. He had the inside going in, so I kind of had a feeling it wouldn't. But here I get aggressive. Like I said, I didn't know how many laps I would have to complete this move. And he's going to try and stay with me through the chicane, which was bold to do. But we get the move done. Stewards deem the contact as simply a racing incident, and no parties received any incident points. So here we are, a spot that we've never been in before, P1, in an iRacing lobby. Something that is very, very, very new to me. So we're going to go into turn 2 here, try and stick with a qualifying line, and the guy behind nips the tire wall. So, like I said in qualifying, it's a fun turn, but it's very easy to get wrong. Very easy. Still here, just trying to stick with a line that we found earlier in the day. And here my heart was in my throat. There's no other way to put it. My heart was pounding. Never been in the spot. Didn't want to mess it up. Had no idea how many laps I had left. The guy behind me wasn't dropping away as quick as the guy in third did after I passed him. But we're going to just keep our head down, keep racing. So the driver behind is now finally starting to drop away. As we come up to the main straight and get the best message I've ever gotten. One more lap of the race. All I have to do is keep this pace, and that's it. Our first race win is in the books. So our last lap, go in, keeping that line, out of turn 1, get a great exit, into turn 2, wait a little bit after passing the stack of tires, get close to the wall but don't go crazy, come back down onto the white and blue line, up into 4th, off the gas, into 3rd, once again using all of the track that we physically can. Touch of the brakes, let the car rotate, back on the gas. It really is about consistency. It's the one thing I can stress the most. I've heard it 1,000 times. I always struggled racing with inconsistent movements and errors, and not having consistent lap times. I've actually started doing the time trials a lot, and it's helped a lot. If you're struggling with times, do the time trials. And as you can see from me, it's helped a lot, because here we go. My first ever race win. And yeah, so here I'm going to spin and just face the wrong direction. And yeah, what a better way to celebrate than donuts. Everybody loves donuts. Except these ones were a little bit embarrassing, I'm kidding. But there you have it. Our first race win. One for the books. That pretty much is that. I want to thank everybody for watching. Have a good rest of your day. And I will see you back here next time. Goodbye.